everybody, welcome back to ASMR Art. Today's project is about watercolors. Again, I say again because the last video we did was about watercolors, but it was about imprinting an image. This time it's kind of the next level up from that, and it's about adding another element to the paint. So I have some examples for you. This is a very simple example of a mountain scene. Just something you might see on a drive to Yuma, Arizona, or Death Valley, or anywhere where there's mountains. I think this part, it looks like there's a little bit of water. And it's just watercolor with a few simple colors. And then on top of it, I sprinkled salt, which creates this sort of broken, spotty effect. In some places, it even looks like it's crystallized. I rubbed a lot of the salt off, but I also kept some of it on for texture. Here's a bigger example of the same type of picture. You can see in this one, the spotting is even more pronounced. Again, it's a very simple picture, and you don't need to be a great artist or have a lot of skill in painting to do something simple like this. You don't have to do a scene of anything. You could just paint colors of your own choice in an abstract way and do the same technique. Here's another example. This one's a tree. I tried to make an oak tree. I don't think I did a very good job, but if you're good at making trees, you should do that. And then there's a background that I put a little bit of the salt on, not much. I don't know if you can see, but probably can't, but there's spotting on the green through the trees, making it look like you could see through the tree to the other side. And then finally I have an example of a night sky. If you're looking through a telescope. Recently I've been watching a lot of science fiction movies on Netflix. Some of them are good, some of them are terrible. I liked the movie The Europa Report. I did not like the movie The Fourth Kind with Mia Jovovich. I thought it was stupid. But anyways, I was thinking about Jupiter because I had seen the Europa Report. I was thinking about the Milky Way. This isn't supposed to be any kind of representation of anything, but just the idea of a night sky with, you know, planets and moons, and then the different shades of the night. What's really interesting about this one are the effects of the salt around these areas. I don't know how well you can see these things, but it adds another dimension to the picture, making it seem almost like stars. Can you see him? He's decided to join us. So for today's project, the supplies that you will need are watercolor paper, preferably thicker, on the thicker side. I'm using a small piece and I've taped it down to my movable board, but you don't have to have a movable board, just something that you can tape it down to. I'm using painter's tape so that it doesn't stick to the paper. I'm going to use a large brush for the background, and I'm going to use a smaller brush for the details. Also, you need a pencil to trace your shapes or draw your shapes. I'm going to trace. I'm going to find different sized round objects to trace. Of course, you need your water. I always have two. One is for cleaning the brush, and one is for mixing the colors. You can have more than two if you want. I also have my paints. I have different colors. And I mix on the trays because I don't usually use pure color. I was using a lot of blue. I might need to get more of that, but we'll see. I also have a rag that I use to wipe the brushes if they're too wet, or for cleaning. Or sometimes there's a technique called picking up that you need to dry the brush to do. So I always have that on the side. Salt. I'm using regular table salt. You can use kosher salt, which is thicker. The crystals are bigger. It will create a bigger spotting effect. It depends on what you want to do. But I'm just going to use the smaller crystals today. So I found 3 objects that I'm going to trace. This will make my Jupiter, or largest planet. And this will be a moon in the distance. And this will be one even farther away. You don't have to put things right in the center. Sometimes doing things off center makes it look more interesting. Start with my planets. And the reason that I want to start with those is because when I lay the color down, I want there to be a hard edge, making the planet more solid. If I do the background first, the background edge will be harder, and it will make the planet look like it's disappearing rather than coming forth. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, it's okay. Just trust me. If you don't want to do it that way, you do it the way you want to do it. That's the great thing about art. You can do it any way you like. So, what color should I make this planet? I was thinking maybe like an orange color. You can always, after the painting is done, erase your pencil marks if you don't want to do a lot of erasing, then don't make them very dark in the first place, or don't have them at all. Do everything freehand. I'm not that good. I'm a realistic painter. And I like the effects that the pooling of the paint has. It creates a texture. It doesn't bother me that it's darker and there's lines and imperfections. That's part of the effect. Before you do the background, you want to make sure that the planet paint dries, because when you're doing watercolors, they have a tendency to want to flow into each other. To stop that from happening, you need to make sure that the first section is dry before you move on to the next section. So now we're going to paint the background. It's completely dry. It's probably been about 9 minutes since I painted this. Even though for you it was only 1 second. But at this point, it's a little bit trickier because I want the colors to blend into each other and sort of meld. So I have to work quickly because I don't want the paint to dry, because it's a hot night and there's very low humidity where I live. I have to work fast or the paint will dry. I also don't want to get too wet so it starts pooling and spotting in places I don't want. And then of course, as soon as it's the way I want it to be with the paint, I'm going to sprinkle the salt. Salt will affect the sky around the planets, because the planets, their paint is already dry, won't affect that. You can put salt on the planets if you want, but that wasn't something that I opted for. So I'm going to go ahead and start and work as fast as I can. Probably a good plan would be to mix your colors first. Make sure that you have enough of each color so that you're not having to stop and mix. Because that's going to slow you down. And then your paint will dry, which is what we're trying to avoid. So load up your tray with paint. Different colors. So I have some choices here. Different colors. Strengths. And I'm just guessing here on how these things are going to look. That's just part of the fun of doing this. You just kind of play with what you have. The more water you add, the lighter the color will be. So here's my Milky Way. I'm going to do cheetah. And he gets excited when he sees a skunk or something. It's my neighbor's dog. He's actually really far away, but he's really loud. The paint and create the speckled effect. And this takes the most time and patience to wait for, because the paint has to completely dry, and when it's getting absorbed into the salt, it kind of slows down the drying process. You can probably already see a lot of the speckling is happening, and I think it looks very good. And so that's